I am very pleased to be joined on the other side of this program with the newest Raptors head coach, Darko Rajakovic. Coach, first off, welcome to Toronto. Thanks for taking time. I know you had a very busy day that they're going to parade you around all day, so we appreciate that you make this time. I just want to ask, how are you and your family settling in so far?
Thank you for having me on the program. Thank you for having me in your city. We are very excited to be here. Very excited to join such an amazing organization like the Raptors. And I just made it back to the hotel, and I'm sitting over here and looking through the window at the amazing landscape over here in downtown. This is an amazing city, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's great to hear, and it sounds like you're busy again. Unfortunately, we're making you talk again, but no, listen. I was just at the press conference, and you got to really introduce yourself there. I kind of just wanted to follow up on a couple of things and get some more details. I think specifically one of the points of emphasis you mentioned in the press conference was you one of your greatest joys in your job as a coach is seeing players grow. And I wanted to ask that, in your time in Oklahoma City, in Phoenix, and in Memphis, what was your specific role when it comes to player development? Like, what did they have you doing where you got to see these players grow under your watch?
I was kind of with the Phoenix, with Oklahoma City. I was kind of like in charge. I was full-time assistant coach, but I was kind of like in charge leading player development program. Coming up with plans for the guys. I had always 3 or 4 players that I always worked with. It's everything from getting to know those guys, to coming up with the plans, watching a bunch of video with those guys, and most importantly, trying to get guys to have a buy-in and to do what team needs them to do. Whatever the plan was for Scotty Brooks or Billy Donovan or Monty Williams or Taylor Jenkins, it was my job to make sure that those guys are accepting their role and shining in their role. And I always found very, very rewarding to see players to be stars in their roles and to grow into their roles. So that was always and is still going to be my biggest passion, just to see how guys grow.
For sure, and that's going to be very important. I know Masai talks about player development all the time. I was doing some research about you, and there was a great article written in Memphis by our reporter there, Darmichael Cole. He wrote about how you had a hands-on, role in developing a player like Desmond Bain, who we have seen really grow and blossom. He could always really shoot coming out of college, but you're seeing him do a lot more in terms of ball handling, secondary play creation. He also wrote about how you had a hand in Jaron Jackson Jr.'s development as well. So can you speak to me about what it was like working with Desmond and Jaron in particular in Memphis?
It was amazing, and to be honest with you, it's pretty easy. Those guys are high character guys. They accepted the role from day one. And it was just a big joy to see how those guys grew. I remember my first conversation when I had with Desmond Bain, and I asked him, what do you want to be coming in the league as a rookie? And he said, I want to be, 3-and-D guy, make shots and play defense. I said, well, Des, that's not going to work. That's not going to be enough. Because league is changing so much, the game is changing so much. You cannot just be one-dimensional player on offense or on defense. You got to be a two-way guy. You got to be able to finish. You're a great shooter, right? Mm-hmm. So what you're going to do if they chase you off the line and you cannot get your shot? So if you cannot get to the rack, if you cannot score in the contact, if you cannot connect with your teammates, it's going to be really hard to keep you on the floor. And those, open, honest conversations from the get-go, it's not always pleasant for the players to hear something like that. But I always hit them with the truth, with the best, with the best of their interest there, and I want them to be able to see big picture. I never look at a player and say, this is who he is, and let's just take advantage of who he is right now. I'm always looking at the potential, what it can look like in a year time or 2 years or 3 years. And same thing was with Jaron Jackson. We all really tried to develop his post-up game and finishing closer to the rim. And he is such a gifted defensive player on his own. So he grew into becoming an all-star player this year and having a great season for Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, well, that sounds really great. And, I think for the Raptors, we're really hoping to see that replicated here in Toronto in terms of player development, right? And I think that, I want to ask you maybe a more general question about player development, but, in your experience, why do some players develop and ultimately reach that next level and some players don't? What is the difference there?
That's a great question. And I've been studying that question for many years, and I really believe it comes down to vision for a player and also player accepting that, sharing that same vision with you and being humble. Just think about like all the players that make an NBA. They were best players in elementary school, best player on your high school team, best player on your college team, and your whole life, like you're the one, you're the best. And then you come to NBA and you walk into the gym and right away you're not the best anymore. Yeah. You got to prove yourself from scratch. You got to understand like what brought you over here is awesome and you got to embrace that and keep that, but it's not going to be enough to keep you in the league and to keep you improving. So you got to accept that who you are is great and what brought you over here is amazing, but that you need to adjust, that you need to learn new skills, that you need to put extra work and extra shots. And at the end of the day, you're competing against best players and best athletes in the world. And you got to be able to evolve. And game itself is constantly changing. Right. So you got to catch up with that and follow that as well.
For sure. Well, the other aspect of this, on the topic of player development, do you believe that players need minutes on the floor to develop, or do you feel like players need to develop first off the court and then they earn their minutes to get onto the floor?
I mean, every player has to earn minutes, and how do you earn minutes is through everyday work. If you put in work every day and you're talented like huge majority of NBA players are, then that's going to put you in a situation like you're going to get your opportunity sooner or later. And the question is, are you going to be ready to take advantage of that? But at the end of the day, like if you're lifting and you're getting shots just with coach and you never enter the game, you're not going to really be able to showcase what you worked on and improve. So you're really becoming a player through playing in minutes and growing in the game. Without those game reps, it's really hard to know if somebody's really improving or not.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think on that subject of development, I think in Toronto, we were invested in all the players getting better, and I'm sure you would say that as a coach too. But I think for a lot of fans, our focus has a lot been on a guy like Scottie Barnes, who, won Rookie of the Year, I think blew everybody's expectations out of the water as a rookie, and we had such great high hopes for him coming into year two. And, for a variety of reasons, it didn't really feel like he made that jump. It kind of felt much like the same thing as season one. From the outside, what do you see in terms of what is Scottie for you in terms of what kind of level can he reach as a player, and also what kind of developmental points can you hit on to help him get to that point?
Scottie is unbelievable talent. He has all predispositions physically and talent and mentally for him to be an amazing player in this league and to dominate in this league for many years. But at the same time, we got to understand that he's 21 years old and that progress is not always linear. It's not going to be 15 points, 20 points, 25 points, 35 points. It does not work like that.
Right.
So and I'm sure that Scottie is aware of that and that he's putting a lot of work in. And I talked to him the other day. He is very motivated to continue his growth, and they'll do everything as a coaching staff, as an organization, to support him on that road.
Yeah, I remember one of Scottie's better games this year was actually against your old team, Memphis. I don't know if you remember this as well, but there was a game where you guys were shorthanded, and I think Ja was out, Dylan Brooks was out, Steven Adams was out, and the Raptors were chasing from behind the whole game. And Scottie ended up making like the 2 final baskets to win the game in Memphis. I don't know if you remember watching this. You obviously you were there.
I do.
Yeah, right. So there definitely is that kind of potential and that energy, and I think for fans, everyone just wants to see it all put together because he's such an exciting player. I think in terms of the idea of coming to the new roster, you mentioned you've spoken to a couple of players as well. What's going to be your process in terms of how you earn the respect and also the build the trust with players? Like, what is your process in that regard? Because obviously that is going to be something that every coach is going to need to do with their roster.
Sure. First thing is going to be for me to get to know those guys personally, to sit down with them, to talk about their goals, where they see themselves, where they want to go. I'm here to serve them, and I'm going to establish coaching staff with great player development and coaches with great experience around the league. We'll do everything in our power to establish environment that's going to support our guys in their growth. And for me, everything starts with those shared values. And I want our team to play unselfishly and together and for each other. And when we have that kind of approach, offensively and defensively, that's going to be an environment that everybody's going to shine and everybody's going to prosper from that.
That sounds amazing, Coach, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that on the court. I think one thing, even talking to him aside today, but also hearing him in press conferences in the last couple of months, he talked about sort of there's been this past season with the Raptors a bit of selfishness, and I'm curious in terms of, how do you address selfishness on a roster, for example? Do you feel like players are sort of inherently selfish, or can you sort of like correct that with certain players and really try to change their approach more to fit the rest of the team? And also, if they don't, how do you hold players accountable?
Sure. I mean, I was not with the team, and I'm reluctant to call anybody on our roster selfish. Players can occasionally make misjudge decisions. Sometimes we got to understand that we're dealing with the best of the best in the world.
Right.
And sometimes those guys, they think they have superpowers, and you want players to be confident and to know that they have a support. But at the same time, there are simple principles that you need to follow. Like the very simple principle is if 2 players are on you, that means that somebody is open. Just ask yourself, if you're wide open at the 3-point line or in a dunker spot or rolling, would you like your teammate to pass the ball to you? The answer is yes, 100% of the time. So you need to make the same decision for your teammate. Is he going to make the shot or not is less important, because that's how you build the trust.
Right.
And then when you find a wide open teammate and he misses a shot, good job. Keep shooting that. And you know what? We have high character guys. They're going to come in the gym and put the work in and get better, and we'll make shots. But there cannot be that doubt in each other or whatever. That's how we want to build from day one. And that's not going to be overnight thing. That's a process, and we're going to be working on that. And it's going to take us some time to get to that point, but that's going to be the goal for us.
Coach, I'm liking everything I'm listening to. I feel like this is almost like another job interview for you in a way. I'm sure Masai and Bobby asked you similar questions, and I'm liking what I'm hearing, Coach. It's not a surprise that you got this job. Now, I wanted to pivot over to X's and O's as well, because that's obviously a big part of your job as the coach. From what I understand, in Memphis and in Phoenix, you had a lot to do in terms of handling the offensive. And is that correct in terms of that reporting in regards to your responsibilities tactically with those 2 teams?
Correct. I was appointed to handle more offensive side, but also I was always responsible for multiple teams and scouting.
Right.
And I was responsible to putting game plans in place to play against the best teams in the league. So even I was responsible for offensive side of the ball. I do not see myself as an offensive or defensive coach. In order to be a basketball coach, you gotta be good at everything, and offense and defense and player development and building relationships and all of that. So I'm going to surround myself with great coaches and great basketball minds that I want them to challenge me, and I want to challenge my beliefs. I have strong beliefs in things that I believe that it should be done.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I'm not closed-minded. I want to learn. I want to get better. I want to listen to our players.
Right.
At the end of the day, those guys are out there fighting for each other and trying to win games. So it's going to be team effort and collaborative work to get this thing moving.
Yeah. Well, one of the issues the Raptors ran into offensively for the last couple of years is, the Raptors have been bottom of the league in terms of three-point shooting. There's not a lot of three-point shooting. I want to ask you, I guess, two things. Number one, do you believe shooting is a developable skill? Can you teach players to get better at shooting in a meaningful way? It's like, can you turn a bad shooter or a non-shooter into a good shooter in the NBA level? And I think also too is just like, do you need more shooting on the roster to play? I was listening to a podcast that you did where you talked about installing the offense for Phoenix, and you talked so much about playing 0.5 second basketball, making a quick decision, being able to shoot, pass, or drive in a quick, instant. Well, without the shooting aspect, I think a lot of modern NBA offense breaks down. So what is your thoughts on the shooting on the team currently, and can it be improved?
I'm a big believer that shooting can be improved, and we already have a bunch of guys in the gym working over here in Toronto. All other guys are working, in the places at their homes. So shooting is a big aspect of the game. If you would ask 30 GMs in the league and 30 head coaches in NBA, if you ask them, do you want more shooting? Every single one of those will say, yes, we need more shooting, right?
For sure, yeah.
So that cannot hurt you, having extra shooting. I do believe it's a thing that you can develop and you can improve. But also I think that there are ways to counter if you do not have great shooting in your team. I think there are ways you can teach players to do a better job at finishing, playing through contact, playing without the ball, cutting more, and finding the smallest gaps that you can get to improve your offense, full court transition and also half court. Everything starts with really great defense, with multiple efforts and protecting the paint and playing with length. That we have great length on our roster. And once you do that, once you get defensive stops, once you get deflections and steals, it's much easier to go in a transition and score.
That's fair.
And that early offense needs to transfer into that, what you said, like 0.5 basketball, touch the paint, extra pass, making each other better and playing with force, playing with force. Confidence is a dangerous drug. And I want our players to be very confident and to trust each other. And to lift each other up. Every player, I never coached a player in my 27 years that missed a shot on purpose. That does not happen. So how are we going to lift each other and just, show that we trust each other. So that's going to be big emphasis for us.
Absolutely. Coach, I know you're short on time, so I want to ask you three more questions really quickly. I just wanted to know, has in the process of getting hired for the head coach, did Bobby and Masai share with you their plans in terms of how they're going to build the roster, both this coming draft and free agency and moving forward?
We had conversations, and we still have ongoing conversations, but that's something that stays in the house, and I have complete trust in Masai and Bobby that they're going to create the best roster possible for us.
That's fair. What would you be looking for in terms of your assistants? Do you have anybody in mind, and sort of when can we expect a timeline in terms of how you fill out your staff?
We don't have timeline. Obviously, we want to try to get coaches signed sooner than later, so we can get to work and get this thing preparing for the summer league that's just a couple of weeks away. But what I'm looking at my assistant coaches, first of the most important thing, I'm looking for good people. I'm looking for a trustworthy people that's going to be working for common goal. They're going to be coming in the gym to help our players. They're going to connect with everybody in the building. They're going to connect with everybody in the city. They're going to embrace the program that we have, the people that they're going to work for each other and help each other. I'm really looking for the quality people. They're going to create strong bonds on the coaching staff and with our players as well.
Right. And then last question, Coach. Are you going to coach summer league? Because I know you've coached lots of previous summer leagues, but a lot of head coaches, are kind of split in terms of whether or not they take the extra bit of reps there. So will you be coaching Raptors in the summer league?
Great question, and let's keep that as a secret for now.
Okay. All right. Well, I will be in Vegas, so if I see you then,
all right,
that would be a good thing. But Coach, thank you so much. Congratulations on this big day. I know this is something you've worked for your entire life to get to this position in the NBA, and I wish you the best of success. Our team is in your hands.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.